How dare I? How dare I besmirch the name of motherhood? It's so close to Mother's Day, too. Listen, I didn't come up with the hot mom. I didn't come up with the cougar. I didn't coin the phrase MILF. All of those things have been around since forever. Why is that? Very simple. Rule of thumb dictates that you usually become a mother because at least one person finds you sexy. Cartoonists, writers, illustrators, and animators have executed this fact to great effect, using it to entertain themselves and a few of the bigger kids. You saw the title. Let's do this. Number 11. Wilma Flintstone. Starting off the list with the classic seems like a good decision. I mean, I didn't watch a lot of the Flintstones. It's a cultural landmark, so I watched enough. And with that in mind, I can't deny Wilma's impact. A lot of our parents and grandparents used to watch the show, and some of them ended up creating shows of their own. And more than a few of them got ideas.
They make me horny, Saturday morning. Girls of cartoons won't leave me in ruins.
Remember, this was the Simpsons of its time. So she was one of the first animated females a lot of them saw, other than Disney princesses. She was smart, strong-willed, witty, and possessed a delightfully scathing tongue. Of course, as we all know, was based off her honeymooner counterpart, Alice Cramden.
Oh, hi, Bonnie. You want to do something stupid today? Hopefully something that gets me hurt.
It's not exactly the crux of the feminist movement, but showing our kids a strong, capable female on broadcast TV may have been a step in the right direction. And she eventually became a mother, which is how most people remember her today. And I think it's important. It shows that just because you become a parent doesn't mean you have to totally change who you are as a person, in a nice, subtle way. A nice, subtle way. Number 10. Mom. Just Mom. Dexter's Lab was the first of a new generation of cartoons, and thus Mom was the first in a new generation of, moms. And at first she seems like an archetype housewife and mother, caring, nurturing, cheerful yet stern. Although there were times when they delved into her psychological obsession with cleaning.
Has anybody seen my gloves? I'd kind of like to start cleaning.
Your gloves? No! Has anybody here seen Mom's gloves? How about you, little girl?
That's not funny.
Showing how it's either an amazing gift or a curse. Then there were times when she just let loose and kicked ass. Speaking of which, being the first mom of the cartoon age, her design was instrumental in the development of this age. You see, sometimes standards and practices will say that the only huge boobs you're allowed to have on the show are upstairs. But you still want to make your older female characters inherently attractive. The solution? Create an exaggerated hourglass figure with a narrowed middle and wider hips, thighs, and buttocks, resulting in what many experts classify as a badunkadunk. You know, a pretty face and lots of bass, and I ain't talking dubstep. And TV tropes call them the Hartman hips, because the women on his show tend to have these. But it's weird because they show a picture of Mom right next to the article entry. In fact, these are the women Hartman originally designed in his pitch shorts, and Mom predates them all when Dexter became the first cartoon. So shouldn't it be called Tartakovsky's thighs or Gendy's gams? Number 9.
Hey, look.
Helen Parr, a.k.a. Elastigirl. So let's see, the first entry was a redhead, the second entry was a shapely redhead, and the third entry is a shapely redhead with superpowers. But she was actually my favorite character in the movie for reasons other than aesthetics. The movie starts with Bob's midlife crisis, but then you see how this affects her very quickly. At one time, she was a very capable crime fighter, and when she's forced to give that up, she starts to focus that dedication into keeping her family happy and safe, which means laying low. But as events unfold, she starts to get stretched in two different directions, metaphorically. Aside from being a dynamic and endearing character, Helen also embodies another stage of development in animation, mainly Pixar's and CG modeling as a whole. They started with toys and bugs because they couldn't get around the plastic look of the models, but as technology grew, they started to get really good at modeling humans. Really, really good.
I think you need to be more flexible.
Numero 8. Maria Rivera. El Tigre was a complex show, both in visuals and in character. You see, Mandy Rivera was the son of a superhero and the grandson of a supervillain. And the series was about him deciding whether or not to be a good guy or a bad guy. Although most of the time every episode started with him doing something bad and then doing something good to balance it out. But aside from that, Mandy's parents were also separated. You see, you can't be squeamish and live in a family of superheroes, or you might get crippling panic attacks.
Here we go.
Although she has accepted that her son is El Tigre, Maria still gets worked up often. Of course, we find out later that the reason Maria has such strong reactions to this is because she was once a superheroine.
I was in college.
Look out!
I went to this party, and someone brought some mystical objects of power, and I tried one on. Things were crazy back then. It was a different time.
But it turns out the problem was she gets all bloodlusty whenever she does use her powers. This is interesting. Mandy's father and grandfather represent virtue and villainy respectively, and they are both powerful, in their own way. But it's Maria that actually shows Mandy the jeopardy of power, and the difference between respecting it or fearing it. One of the things I wanted to see out of this series was to have Maria find the balance between panicking and rampaging, and accept her husband and son's lifestyle. Maybe even get back together. But if that didn't happen, I'd be just fine with that too. The real tragedy of the abrupt ending of this series is never seeing her in that outfit again.
Old feelings returning, power coursing through veins, costume chafing slightly!
Number 7. Willow. Now this character is actually from a French series that ran from 2006 to 2009. It was a huge hit overseas and is starting to develop a bit of a following in other countries. I think mainly because the opening theme is a pop cover of Queen's It's a Kind of Magic, which is bound to spark interest.
It's a kind of magic, 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 magic.
This music sounds like unicorn barf!
I've only managed to find one episode in English, but there's a certain rhythm to good character animation, and I think a lot of people might appreciate the visual aspects of this show. It's about a family of fairy tale creatures who escape into the real world with the help of Willow's magic. Now Willow is kind of the klutz of the family, often mixing her magical back knack with modern technology. This often leads to disastrous results, since she isn't quite clear how the real world works. Yeah, as you can see, this is the Hartman hips taken to the extreme. But other than that, she has an infectiously cheery disposition, she's always eager to learn, and has her family's best interests at heart, even though she tends to shoot from the hip when it comes to magic. And brother, that's a lot of hip. Number 6. Donna Tubbs. Now, if I picked every mom from the Seth MacFarlane category, then, well, that's a third of the list taken up. So I decided I had to pick one representative, and I chose Donna Tubbs. So why did I choose her? Well, I think Lois is a bitch now, so it was really just between Francine and Donna. And as much as I love Francine, I honestly think Donna is the stronger character. Cleveland and her have really gelled in a way that I haven't really seen on the other shows, and they play off each other so well.
You got a man in the house now.
Been a long time.
She's lying.
And I think she's more active in her children's lives as well.
Have I showed you my babies? The left one is Rollo and the right one is Roberta.
That's a perky set of children.
And that includes her stepson, Junior. And plus, she does have a few cosmetic issues that make her more human.
I haven't had time to color my gray.
Number 5. Lydia Pearson. This might be considered a weird choice. But then again, I'm a weird guy with weird tastes and a weird job. But it comes down to the more I thought about it, the more I had to put her on this list. I mean, she's not ugly, but you would never look at her for the first time and say she's a knockout. But kind of like in a real-life situation, the more you hang out with her kid, you realize she's more than just a nurturing single parent trying to raise a family. She's fearless, she's creative, fun-loving, passionate, and savvy. She encourages others and herself to try new things. She's always outspoken and stands up for what she believes in.
Peppy, I told you, I am a retail sales fashion technician, and I demand the respect that goes along with that title.
And she's kind of cute with the little glasses and the bob cut. a neckerchief, a stretch pants over her
Traxaland!
Then one day, out of nowhere, your friend nudges you and says, "Hey, is it just me, or is Pepper Ann's mom kind of hot? Like, really kind of hot?" Then you're like, "She is so effing hot," because you're in middle school and you're not quite comfortable with saying the actual word yet. I know that's crossed Milo's mind a few times.
Hello, Ms. Pearson.
Hey, Lydia. Is PA home?
Calling your best friend's mom by your first name. I see what you did there. Number 4. Marge Simpson. Okay, what can I say? It's Marge. Sweet, caring, patient, and able to take care of America's most dysfunctional family on levels that would make even MacGyver's head reel. And over the years, she has become one of those cartoon sex symbols. Just happens. She's even appeared in magazines, including her infamous Playboy issue. I knew this kind of thing would piss people off, but it's not like they haven't been publishing sexy cartoons in Playboy since the beginning. Yeah, I know it's never been a famous character, but, you know, principle's still the same. And by the way, is it just me, or do you think this is the first in a trend of weird magazine covers? Number 3. Agent K. I'm actually sad to say I didn't see a lot of Disney's replacements during its initial run. It's just one of those series that went under my radar. Mainly because of the premise. Kids send away for a phone service that will replace any person on the planet with another person, mainly through huge payoffs.
You want me to leave right now to take employee ID photos for Flame Co? How much does it pay? Ooh, let's go.
But I said cheese.
Actually, it sounds a little too much like some bad early 90s movies I've seen. But after a few episodes, I discovered the show has a really great, punchy sense of humor. The comedy doesn't come from awkwardness, it comes from using people's professions in a clever way. And as an orphan, naturally the first thing Todd and Riley do is get some parents. A goofy but lovable stuntman dad, and a top-notch hot spy mom from British intelligence. Aside from being made of sexy and epic, when she's not using her spy skills to save the world, she's using them to take care of her family, which can be really cool or kinda lame. Being a super spy, she kinda takes the nosy mom to a whole nother level.
I just want what's best for you. Do you think I like sewing tracking devices into all of your clothes?
So it bears mentioning that she is an adoptive mother, which I find fascinating that she instantly shows this much devotion. Now don't get ahead of yourself. I'm not saying that adoptive families can't be just as tight-knit and loving as biological families. In fact, I'm quite certain that in some cases they can be far more civil. I'm saying it's unusual considering the situation, but apparently Dick and Kay are married and in love. I wasn't quite sure at first because the way it works on the show, it's almost like it's a temp service. But it soon becomes perfectly clear that Kay's love for her family is anything but temporary. There's only one thing she really can't do.
Oh, come on, Riley. Who doesn't like their bacon extra crispy?
Bacon? Those are waffles.
More for you, growing child and all.
Number 2. Peg Pete. Peg was a truly fascinating creature. Shapely hourglass figure, pink sweater, white stretch pants, bizarre haircut that looks like it's a generation behind but somehow suits her. And she had the most interesting mannerisms.
I haven't seen you since high school.
You're still pretty as your homecoming
Now
picture.
cut that out. Why didn't you pistol? Stay away from those slugs. Call me and tell me that you were. Oh, it's so good. I thought I told you to leave them alone. They're slimy and scummy and filthy. Oh, and who's this?
Oh, Peg, my son Max.
Hi, Max.
That's the voice of April Winchell, who you might have noticed made the list earlier as Lydia. But while her voice was kinda high-pitched, nasally, and even, April really gets to play with her performance as Peg.
I'll use my secret weapon.
What's that?
My mouth.
What? You want a fellatio joke? Sorry, I don't do those. Cinema Snob's the master, though. You should check him out if that's your thing. He's like the Da Vinci of knob-sucking puns. But what's so entrancing about her is that everyone has probably said this out loud. She's married to Pete? How the hell did that happen? She's good-hearted, hard-working, honest and sensible. And Pete? Well, he's crookeder than his cholesterol-encrusted heart's palpitations. Yeah, I guess you can say she keeps him in line, But I can't be the only one that thought that maybe during the series development that she was originally supposed to be Goofy's wife. There are even moments in the series where you can totally see that the writers had the same idea. And fans were a little more than concerned when she didn't appear in the Goofy movie. I like to think she left Pete and started a new life somewhere else. I don't know, maybe as a blogger. And the number one hottest animated mom is Maddie Fenton. Okay, take Dexter's mom and Agent K, mix them together, and then make her a Ghostbuster. That's Maddie in a nutshell. Maddie and her husband Jack were the premier in the Amityville's Paranormal Investigation and Elimination Services, until an experiment changed their son into a ghost superhero, which is probably why no one takes ghosts seriously in this town.
City water supply, A-OK.
Of course, to her credit, most of her contributions work. It's mostly due to her husband's eccentricity, and I'm gonna go with nearsighted enthusiasm. Yeah, that's a nice way to say stupid. So yes, she is the brains of the outfit, and boy does she fill it out well. She actually goes out in public in a skin-tight jumpsuit. No, Butch, you can't draw boobs on a kid's show, but you can draw one gigantic super boob. But don't fool yourselves. That ass is just as bad as it is shapely. She's an expert marksman, martial artist, and survival expert. It's funny that 20 years earlier, Kath Sose would portray a much more diaphanous and childlike Janine on Ghostbusters, to the chagrin of a few people. But here, she's bolder, stronger, smarter, and she's still an 80s girl at heart, but she's just as much a true mother at heart as well. I think the best episode that captures Maddie's character is Masters of Time, where Danny went back in time to prevent an accident that created one of his most formidable enemies, Vlad Plasmius, who, by the way, has had a deep-rooted obsession with his mother for years.
One of two things my wealth has not as of yet been able to acquire.
Is he hitting on Mom?
As long as he's got working toilets and Mom says no, who cares?
However, in doing so, he accidentally causes his mom and dad to never marry. He visits his non-mom in modern day and discovers that although she's married to Vlad, who forbids paranormal studies, he finds that Maddie has a secret laboratory, another twist on one of Sose's earlier roles. Of course, not only does Maddie manage to best her son, she plans on dissecting him. Of course, when she realizes what's going on, she starts to sing a different tune.
And that's why you called me Mom at the door. You must be our son from an alternate timeline.
The one good thing about having scientist parents, alternate timeline, totally valid excuse.
So for not only being a badass, brilliant, and gorgeous ghost hunter, but being the kind of mom that just tugs at your heartstrings, and also voiced by Kath Sose, Maddie Fenton earns her spot at number 1. And that's the top 11 hottest animated moms. Not as skeezy as they thought it would be. Or maybe it was. I don't know. Whatever. They hold a unique balance of providing and guiding another life, but at the same time they should still be acknowledged as their own person. Which means objectifying when they are clearly smoking hot. And I think that's a lesson we can all appreciate this Mother's Day weekend. No. No, Father's Day is in May. Mother's Day is in June. Stupid. No, it's not. No, it's like... Okay, it's like Father's Day... No, wait, Mother's Day... Wait, Mother's Day is a joy, and it's like Father May... No. No, it's like Mother... Hi, Mom.